Thank you, Mr. Chair. State of Indiana was on the Education Committee as a state rep for 1 year of the 3 years I spent there, and was on a school board 10 years prior to that. Spent half an hour to 45 minutes with President Daniels at Purdue here a few weeks ago. The biggest thing we grapple with there is the fact that through our 4-year institutions, publicly supported and in total, we ship out twice as many degrees as we use within the state of Indiana, have 80,000 jobs roughly. I think we've got 80 or so in my own company, 800 in my county, that need 1, 2-year degrees or maybe a better high school curriculum. The other thing I want to point out is that I think for most families across the nation, healthcare and education are the two most important things. Ironically, those are also the two things that are going up most in cost per year, and I think post-secondary education just claimed the notoriety of eclipsing the cost of healthcare. So, poor outcomes, which were mentioned earlier, high costs, wanting to have the accountability to hold all that down in general. I want to focus on, and I'll ask Dr. Whelan this question, when it comes to the amount of effort, accountability, and so forth that's being put into 4-year degrees across the country, and for one of the reasons of bringing the costs down, and maybe, I know in our state, guidance counselors and this whole effort of getting people directed into the right program is probably the thing we're doing most poorly. Love to hear your opinion on kind of how CTE, 1, 2-year degrees, even better high school curriculums, are we paying enough attention there, giving it the accountability in the accreditation that needs for almost all the jobs we have unfilled that would actually pay more starting and through career wages than almost half of the degrees that we're generating that we don't even use in our state?
Thank you for your question, Senator. Having spent 28 years in community colleges, I can say, of course, definitely. We just got a grant from Lumina Foundation in my region to look at credentialing and how many of our institutions are actually taking industry-based credentials and applying them to college degrees. And I think you're finding more and more of that every day. All of our colleges and institutions, colleges and universities understand the need to get people into the workforce, but we want them to be able to do more than just turn a widget. We want them to be able to give a presentation orally. We want them to be able to work independently, to analyze things, and so those general education requirements going into that. That's one of the downsides of traditional 1-year programs, and so now faculty are working across the institution. There's a novel concept that, teaching English and math in a CTE course can work, and it does. So I think we're seeing more and more the importance of that, and institutions working toward that.
Any other panelists want to comment on it? Good enough, and I just want to emphasize again, for most of us, and I think Indiana is probably not sitting there by itself, that and when I spoke up about this very issue as a member of the Education Committee, my brother was the Department of Workforce Development Director that had to match high demand, high wage jobs with the marketplace. I made that point that we overemphasize 4-year degrees, creating a lot of degrees that are not marketable, and I really wish we paid more attention to that because it lowers costs and actually produces more degrees that we as employers need.
I think even the dual enrollment programs are growing in the CTE areas as well, because institutions on the college side are understanding the significance of getting people in the workforce.
One comment I'll make on that, which I really appreciate the points that you brought up. It's something that we've paid quite a bit of attention to at SHIO. And one project that we're involved in is helping states match their student-level data systems to their workforce data systems, the data systems that would have been managed by your brother. And in doing that, we can look at things like employment outcomes by degree program and ensure that all of them are leading to outcomes that would benefit their students going forward after they graduate. And in particular, we need to pay attention to those shorter-term programs like certificates and short-term certificates. Many of those will lead to wage outcomes that are better than longer-term ones, but others are no better than a high school diploma, and those are ones we ought to be really concerned about, because students go into debt even for short-term programs, and if there's no payoff, then we ought to be looking to direct them to more rewarding programs.
Good point. Thank you.